He was 7 years old when he first realized something was terribly wrong with me. He was sitting alone in my bedroom playing with my toys on a quiet afternoon when suddenly the temperature in the room dropped dramatically. He could see my own dress forming clouds in front of my face. And then he heard it. A voice that was not my own, coming from somewhere deep inside my head, telling me that he belonged to them. That he had been given to them before he was even born. That he would never escape them no matter how hard he tried. He started screaming at the top of my lungs, but when my mother rushed into the room, she did not look concerned like any normal mother would. She looked satisfied. Almost pleased. She knelt down beside me on the cold floor and whispered softly, "They are just introducing themselves to you. You will get used to it in time." That was the moment I understood that my mother had done something to me. Something dark and irreversible. Something that would haunt me for the next 23 years of my life. But what he did not know then, what he could not have possibly imagined in my worst nightmares, was that there was someone far more powerful who had already claimed me before my mother ever made her dedication. And he was coming to get me back. Let me take you back to where this really began. My mother was deeply involved in the occult long before he was even conceived. She came from a long line of women who practiced witchcraft and communed with spirit, stretching back many generations in our family. In our culture and community, this was not hidden or shameful in any way. It was actually a source of pride and status. My grandmother was a known spiritualist who people would travel miles to see. My great-grandmother before her practiced the same dark art. The women in my family communicated with spirit, performed elaborate rituals under the cover of night, and were both respected and feared by everyone who knew them. When my mother discovered she was pregnant with me, she saw it as a tremendous opportunity. She told me years later, with absolutely no shame or regret whatsoever, that she had dedicated me to the spirit while he was still growing in her womb. She performed ritual after ritual over her pregnant belly during those 9 months. She made solemn promise to Dark Entity that in exchange for greater power and supernatural protection, she would give them her firstborn child a living vessel. That child was me. I do not remember my earliest years of life, but my mother filled in those gaps with stories she seemed genuinely proud to tell. She said that when he was born, the room went ice cold despite it being summer. She said the candle she had lit for the birth flickered violently even though there was no wind. She said she heard a whisper in the darkness welcoming me into the world, calling me by a name she had never given me. To her, these were all signs that the dedication had worked perfectly. To her, this meant he was special, chosen, marked from my first breath for a dark and powerful purpose. She raised me with this identity impressed upon me from the very beginning. She constantly told me he was different from other children, that he would never fit in with normal people. She told me the spirit had grand plans for my life. She told me he would one day carry on the family tradition and become even more powerful than she had ever been. Growing up in that house was like growing up inside a nightmare that never ended no matter how hard he wished it would. There were altars hidden in secret places through our home, tucked into closets and behind furniture. There were rooms he was absolutely forbidden to enter as a child, rooms where he could hear my mother chanting in strange language late into the night while he lay awake in my bed trembling. There were objects, strange and ancient objects, that he was told never to touch under any circumstance because they belonged to the spirit and were doorway to their realm. I learned early in my childhood to sense when something dark was present in a room. I would feel a heaviness settle in the air around me, a crushing pressure building on my chest, a bone deep coldness that had nothing to do with the actual temperature. Other children were afraid of imaginary monsters under their bed. I was afraid of the things that actually lived in my house with me, the things that watched me from corner, the things that whispered my name in the darkness. The supernatural encounter started becoming more frequent and more intense I grew older. By the time he was 10 years old, he was having regular experience that he could not explain to anyone who would believe me. He would see shadow moving in my peripheral vision, darting quickly away when he turned to look directly at them. He would hear voices calling my name clearly and distinctly when no one else was home. He would wake up in the middle of the night completely paralyzed, unable to move even a finger, feeling a tremendous weight pressing down on my chest while dark figure with no face stood around my bed watching me with what felt like angry anticipation. My mother told me all of these experiences were perfectly normal for someone like me. She told me the spirit were training me, preparing me gradually for my ultimate destiny. She told me I should feel deeply honored that they paid so much attention to me. But he did not feel honored in any way. He felt absolutely terrified. He felt trapped in a life he never chose. He felt like he was slowly losing my grip on my own mind. By the time he became a teenager, the darkness had become a constant companion that he could not shake no matter what he did. It followed me to school, where he struggled to focus on my studies because of the voices that would interrupt my thoughts with disturbing messages. It followed me to my friends' houses, where he would sense presence lurking in corners that made me so uncomfortable he would have to leave. It followed me absolutely everywhere he went, a shadow permanently attached to my soul that he could not escape. He started having thoughts that he gradually realized were not my own. Vile thoughts about hurting myself and others. Self-destructive thoughts about worthlessness and meaninglessness. Persist thoughts telling me he was garbage, that he should cut myself, that he should end my miserable life because no one would even notice he was gone. He did not understand and that these were not actually my thoughts at all. He believed every word of them. He internalized them as truth. He started cutting myself in secret, carving lines into my arms and thigh, hiding the marks carefully under longsleeve and pants. My mother noticed the change in my behavior and de manner, but she interpreted everything through her own twisted spiritual lens. She said he was simply becoming more spiritually sensitive and immature. She said the spirit were accelerating my preparation for initiation into full practice. When he turned 16 years old, she told me solemnly that it was finally time for me to formally and permanently accept my role in the family tradition. She wanted to perform an elaborate ritual that would bind me completely and irrevocably to the entity she had served her whole life. She described the power he would gain glowing terms. She said after this ritual, he would be able to see clearly into the spirit realm at will. He would be able to communicate freely with the dead. He would be able to curse my enemy and watch them suffer. He would be protected from all harm. Part of me, the part that had been groomed my whole life for this moment, was genuinely curious about this power. Part of me wanted what she described. But a deeper part of me, a part he did not understand at the time and could not explain, screamed with every fiber of its being that something was terribly wrong with this path. The night of the ritual, he ran away from home. He do not know where the courage came from because he had never defied my mother in my life. He do not know why that particular night was different from all the other when he had obeyed without question. But something inside me, something that felt separate from the voices and the darkness, absolutely refused to go through with it. He packed a small bag with a few clothes while my mother was downstairs preparing the ritual space with candle and incense. He climbed out my bedroom window, dropped to the ground below, and he ran into the night. He ran until my limbs burned like they were on fire. He ran until my leg gave out and he could not take another step. He ended up at a bus station on the edge of town with barely enough money in my pocket for a ticket. He booked a ticket to the farthest destination he could afford and he left my mother's house behind forever. But what he did not realize was that he could not leave the darkness behind. It came with me wherever he went. The next several years of my life were by far the worst I have ever experienced. He bounced from city to city, constantly running from something he could not escape. He jumped from job to job, getting fired or quitting when the stress became too much. He went from relationship to relationship, driving away everyone who tried to get close to me because of my erratic behavior and dark mood. He could never stay anywhere for long before the storm became unbearable. The spirit that had been attached to me since before my birth did not need my mother's altar or ritual spaces to continue their work. They followed me everywhere. He continued to hear mocking voices that commented on everything he did. He continued to see shadow watching me from dark corner. He continued to have night terror so severe that he would wake up screaming and thrashing, drenched in sweat. He started drinking heavily to numb the constant fear. Then he graduated toward the drug. He would take anything that would make the voices quiet for even a few hours. Anything that would help me sleep without nightmares. Anything that would provide temporary escape from the constant feeling that something evil was always watching me, waiting for me to weaken, asserting était esclin over my life. He attempted suicide 3 separate times during those dark wandering years. Each time, something inexplicable stopped me from succeeding. The rope he used somehow broke before he lost consciousness. A stranger happened to walk by and find me bleeding in time to call for help. The pill he swallowed did not work the way the internet said they should. At the time, he genuinely believed he was cursed to live, that he was unable to escape even through the door of death itself. He thought the spirit that owned me would not allow me to die because he still had value to them a vessel. He thought he was doomed to suffer endlessly forever with no possible way out. He had absolutely no idea that someone else entirely was intervening in those moments. Someone who had a completely different plan for my life. He was 28 years old when everything finally changed. He was living in a cramped studio apartment in a city where he knew no one, working a dead-end job that he hated, drinking himself to sleep every single night just to kill voices long enough to rest. He had completely given up on life. He was merely existing, not living, just waiting passively to die, hollow and empty and utterly hopeless. One night, he was lying in my bed in that strange state between waking and sleeping when he felt a presence enter my room. He immediately tensed up, every muscle in my body going rigid, expecting another attack from the darkness, another visitation from the entity that tormented me, another night of hellish suffering. But this presence was completely and utterly different from anything he had ever experienced. There was a warmth to it that he had never felt before in my life. There was a light, not visible to my physical eyes but somehow clearly perceivable to my spirit, that pushed back against the darkness he had lived in for as long I could remember. And then he heard a voice speak. Not the harsh, mocking, cruel voices he had grown accustomed to over the years. This voice was gentle but carried unmistakable power. It was soft but commanded absolute authority. It said clearly, "You were never there. You have always been mean." He started weeping uncontrollably. He did not know why he was crying. He did not understand what was happening to me. But something in those simple words broke through walls inside me that he did not even know existed. 28 years of accumulated pain came flooding out. 28 years of constant fear. 28 years of believing he was marked and destined for darkness. All of it came pouring out of me in wave after wave of tears and sob. He wept until he had absolutely nothing left inside me. And through it all, that warm presence stayed right there with me. For the first time in my entire life, he did not feel terrifyingly alone in a room. The next morning, he woke up feeling genuinely different. The heaviness he had carried every single day of my existence for as long I could remember was noticeably lighter. The voices that usually greeted me the moment he opened my eyes with their cruel morning commentary were completely silent. He walked around my small apartment utterly confused, waiting nervously for the darkness to return at any moment, waiting for the attack that always came eventually. But the hours passed and nothing happened. Days passed. The tormenting voices that had been my constant unwanted companion for 28 years remained mysteriously and wonderfully quiet. I started desperately searching for answer to explain what had happened to me. I had no religious background whatsoever. My mother had raised me exclusively in the occult, and although I had rejected that path, I had never replaced it with anything else. I knew nothing about God or Jesus or the Bible or church. But something inside me compelled me to start looking. I found myself walking through the doors of a church for the first time in my entire life. It was a simple building with a wooden cross on the wall. But the moment I stepped through those doors, I felt that exact same warm presence I had felt in my room that night. It was there in that building. Whoever had spoken those words to me in my bedroom was present in this place. An older woman approached me after the service ended. She had kind eyes and a warm smile that put me at ease immediately. She said she had felt led to come talk to me, that God had put me on her heart during the service. Something about her broke down my defense. I found myself telling her everything. The dedication my mother performed before I was born. The years of relentless storm. The voices and shadow and paralysis. The suicide attempt that kept mysteriously failing. All of it came flooding out to this complete stranger who somehow felt safer than anyone he had ever known. She listened to every word without judgment. When he finally finished, she said something that would change my life forever. She said, "Whatever was done to you before you were born, God knew about you before that. He formed you in His mind before you were formed in your mother's womb. He planned your life before she made her plan. He loved you first. And no ritual, no dedication, no demonic clan can ever override what God has already established." She opened her Bible and showed me verse he had never seen before. She showed me where God says He knew us before we were ever formed in our mother's womb. She showed me where nothing in all creation can separate us from the love of God. She showed me where Jesus declared that no one can snatch His sheep out of His protective hand. Each verse felt like shine physically breaking off my soul. Each word felt like brilliant light flooding into rooms that had been locked in darkness for decades. I realized in that moment that my mother's dedication was not the first word spoken over my life. God had spoken first, before the foundation of the world. And this word trumped everything else. He gave my life to Jesus that very day in that small church. He did not fully understand what He was doing or what it all meant. But He knew with absolute certainty that He wanted whatever this was. He knew He wanted the peace He felt radiating in that place. He prayed a simple prayer, asking Jesus to forgive me for everything He had ever done wrong, asking Him to come into my life and take control, asking Him to save me from the darkness that had claimed me since before my birth. And I prayed those words, I felt something dramatic happen in the spiritual realm around me. It was like a legal document being torn into pieces. It was like a vision falling off my body. It was like a door slamming shut permanently on everything that had tormented me my entire life. The weeks that followed were spiritually intense. I learned to walk in my new freedom. There were moments when the old familiar voices tried to return, when I would sense the dark presence attempting to reattach themselves to me. But everything was different now. I was not alone and defenseless anymore. I had a defender fighting for me. Every time the darkness tried to come back and reclaim me, I would speak the name of Jesus out loud, and it would flee from me immediately. Every time the old destructive thoughts tried to invade my mind, I would quote the scripture that woman had shown me, and they would lose all their power. I was learning that I had real authority now. Authority that came solely from belonging to someone infinitely greater than the entity my mother had given me to. A few months into my new phase, I had another supernatural encounter that confirmed everything. I was praying alone in my apartment when suddenly I was no longer in my physical room. I found myself standing in what looked exactly like a courtroom. On one side stood the dark figure I recognized, the same entity that had tormented me my entire life. They were presenting what appeared to be an ancient contract, a document covered with my mother's handwriting, claiming that he had been legally given to them before he was even born. They were demanding what they called their rightful property. But on the other side of this spiritual courtroom stood Jesus. He could not see his face clearly because of the brilliant light surrounding him, but he knew it was him. The light emanating from his presence was completely overwhelming. He stepped forward calmly and dealt out his hand towards the accused, and he saw the scar in his palm. And he spoke with an authority that made everything else fall instantly silent. He said, "The price for this one has already been paid in full. The blood covenant supersedes all other covenant ever made. She is mine." He watched now as a document the dark figure held burst into flame and crumbled to ash before my eyes. He watched as they shrank back from his light in terror. And then Jesus turned toward me and smiled with such warmth and love. He said gently, "Now go and tell them what he have done for you. There are many others still bound in darkness who need to know they can be completely free." He came out of that vision sobbing with overwhelming joy, undone by what he had witnessed, overwhelmed by the reality that he was actually and permanently free. The dedication my mother made was null and void forever. The claim of darkness over my life had been legally cancelled by Aigecourt. He belonged to Jesus now and forever, and no one could ever take me from his hand. He eventually reconciled with my mother years later. She was dying of cancer in a hospital, and he felt clearly led by God to go see her one last time. He walked into her hospital room terrified of what he might feel, terrified that the whole darkness might try to reclaim her. But he felt nothing except peace and compassion for this dying woman. He sat beside her bed and he told her about Jesus. He told her about the encounter he had in the courtroom of heaven where he claimed me I saw. He told her that the dedication she made could never override what God had established. She began to weep. For the first time in my entire life, I saw my mother weep with genuine tears of remorse. She confessed that she had been tormented by guilt, that the spirit she had served faithfully had eventually turned on her, that she was terrified of dying. He held her hand gently and he led her in the same simple prayer he had prayed years earlier. He watched peace visibly come over her face for the first time ever. She died 3 days later, but she died free from the darkness that had enslaved her. She died belonging to Jesus. If you are watching this and you feel like you have been claimed by darkness, whether through something that was done to you as a helpless child, something you willingly participated in yourself, or something generational passed down through your family line, I desperately want you to know that there is a gay clan in your life. There is a voice that speaks louder than every dark dedication ever made. There is a sacrifice that supersedes and cancels every evil covenant ever sworn. Jesus paid for you with his own blood before you were even born. Whatever word have been spoken over your life by other, whatever ritual have been performed over you, whatever entity have claimed ownership of your soul, none of it change what God established first. You can be completely free today. Right now, in this very moment. You do not need a special ritual or elaborate ceremony or a particular person to pray for you. You simply need to cry out to Jesus with an honest heart. Ask him to break every chain that binds you. Ask him to cancel every evil dedication made over your life. Ask him to claim you as his own possession. He will do it. I am living proof that he absolutely will do it. He reached into the deepest darkness imaginable and pulled me out. He completely rewrote my story. He gave me a brand new identity. And they want to do the exact same thing for you. Because that is who Jesus truly is. He is the one who comes specifically for those who have been given away by others. He is the one who pays whatever price is necessary to buy back what was wrongfully sold. He is the one who speaks with authority that makes demon free in terror and dark contract crumble to ash. He is the one who claimed me when everyone believed he belonged to the enemy forever. And he is waiting right now to claim you too. He was dedicated to demon at birth by my own mother. But Jésus claimed me I son beloved child. And today, I am free. Completely, totally, eternally free. If I did it for someone like me, I can absolutely do it for you too.